Through the years, Java received many new features, some of which end up very useful, while others might seem not that useful for most of the developers. One of these features are sealed classes. But first, my name is Oscar and I'm a passionate Java developer, and on YouTube I share what I learned in Java and Spring Boot ecosystems. Today I will introduce you to the amazing feature that we got in Java 17, which are the sealed classes. Normally when we have some class, for example, let's go with class example class. And this class can be extended by infinite number of classes in our project, which is fine in smaller projects uh, or when it's intended behavior for this class, but when working on real enterprise level projects, most often our project grows to hundreds or thousands of classes. And now we have no idea what classes extend our class and what parts of our project will be affected by this by changes in this class. This is where the sealed classes come in. Basically, the difference between normal class and sealed class is that when defining sealed classes, we also define all of the classes that can extend this class. So when looking at this class, we are sure that all of the extenders of this class, and we don't have to look at any documentation or ask anybody what our class will affect, which is useful when working on bigger projects or even when going back to your own projects after some time. Okay, let me show you an example where I would most often use a sealed class. So instead of this example class, I will create some CRUD exception class. So let's do it. I will go with class CRUD exception extends runtime exception. Okay. And let's go with constructor CRUD exception string message. Okay, super message. Okay. And now I want to extend this CRUD exception. Of course, CRUD stands for create, read, update, delete. So these exceptions would happen when something wrong happens in our web application during these basic operations. So let's go, for example, for class not found exception, and it will extend the CRUD exception. Okay, that is the normal intended behavior. But what happens when we go for sealed class? Now we get first error modifier sealed on non-final class. So final keyword is expected here. And if you remember what final keyword does for the classes, it basically makes our class non-extendable. I talk about more about that in my previous video about final keyword. So you can watch it after this video. But as I said, basically it makes our class non-extendable. And we need to do that because if we didn't do that, some other class could extend the CRUD exception implicitly, and we don't want to do that because sealed class only should permit explicit classes to be extended. But as you can see, we actually didn't even do that. We didn't permit any classes to be extended by the CRUD exception. And that is because if we extend our sealed class in the same file, or for example, if we did an inner class here, we don't have to use the permit keyword. But what if I, for example, move out this CRUD exception to some different file? For example, I will create CRUD exception and now copy this class. And we get an error. I'll show you. Sealed class permits clause must contain all of the subclasses. So to fix that, we need to use permits and state our not found exception. Basically, it should be the other way around after the extends. And now our error is gone. So I will go back to the previous state. As you can see, we still can use permits and it will work, but we don't have to do that if we state that in one file. So what I would most often do is just define all of our classes in, for example, class ID incorrect, exception, some example stuff. Okay, and why I would most often define our subclasses as our inner class when defining exceptions is that because now when I want to use these exceptions, I can list all of them when trying to find throw a new exception, new CRUD exception, and here I see all of the exceptions I defined for the CRUD exception. Okay. And this is basically how you can use sealed classes in your applications. As always, if you want to learn more about Java and Spring Boot and have opportunity to meet developers which are on the same path as you, check out the Spring Boot Academy, top link in the description. If you haven't watched the video about the final keyword, here is the link. And till the next time, create some amazing applications.